We have arrived. What is your status?
Core systems appear operational.
Good. We must keep in mind, this combat shell was not designed for biomass engagement. Any contact with the infestation will render us immediately inoperable.
Where should we begin searching?
Undetermined. I'll scan the area for identifiable landmarks.
I recognize this ship. It belongs to Delta Squad.
I would no longer qualify this as a ship.
Kronos 2 wreckage. Currently assessing bio-torpedoes in the area.
There's that transmission again. I recognize this unit as Delta 6.
Interesting. It appears this Delta 6 has already located several torpedoes. Reaching their location may be our most expedient option.
Is it possible to make contact from here?
Negative. There's too much interference in the signal. We should first clear ourselves of this debris, then see if the signal strengthens. However, we should check your equipment before we go. I will do my best to keep this expedient. Let's begin with your shielding. This unit has been optimized for combat scenarios and is capable of regenerating its shield without the use of external chargers. However, a significant delay is required for the process to begin after sustaining damage. You may need to exercise patience.
Understood.
Next is your armament. This unit is equipped with an M19C repeater, designation Pulsar. Jack, are you comfortable wielding a firearm?
I've run simulations before.
Excellent. Then familiarizing yourself with this particular model should be trivial. I shall just prepare a brief additional simulation. Your armament is now unlocked. Open fire on the targets. Targets eliminated. Unfortunately, should we encounter ticks, it is unlikely they will be quite so docile. These targets should provide a close approximation to tick activity. As such, successfully hitting a given target may require you to aim ahead of its movement. The ionized bolts of your armament are surprisingly slow, though I suppose that is acceptable for weaponry of this century. Jack, fire continuously at this last target. Make no consideration for accuracy. Overheat detected. Notably, each firing of your weapon causes a portion of energy to be retained as excess heat. Without sufficient time to cool, this buildup will exceed maximum operating temperature, leading to an emergency venting cycle.
Can this be averted?
Yes. Firing in controlled bursts is the most efficient way to do so. However, you may use the button on your wrist to manually vent any heat within the unit. But this choice should be made tactically. The weapon will remain inoperable while venting.
Understood.
Excellent. Lastly, we need to inspect your threat scanner.
It's what we'll use to scan the biomass's base genetic material, correct?
Indeed. However, until we locate a viable torpedo, we shall instead rely on its original functionality, identifying nearby hostiles. To that end, I have optimized the device's settings to our mission parameters. Once activated, it will emit a single sensor pulse, followed by a brief recharge cycle. Try doing so now. Hostile identified. A tick just beyond the bulkhead. It appears dormant for the time being.
Can it be avoided?
Given the surrounding topography, no. Though your strategy is sound. Armament from this era won't be particularly effective against any form of the biomass.
Very well. I am ready to engage. Can you unlock the harness?
Done. Now that you are free, I must advise. Operating your firearm will produce substantial recoil. I strongly encourage you to brace by maintaining a firm grip on nearby surfaces.
Acknowledged. During my previous time jump, there were activation pods for each unit in Delta Squad. It appears only ours remains.
I am afraid we have no choice but to fire upon the tick until it is destroyed. Threat neutralized. Well done, Jack. Warning. I am detecting extreme levels of radiation in the surrounding area.
A Series 10 Echo unit shell from Delta Squad.
As anticipated, the biomass has been difficult to combat. I suspect we will find more losses as we continue.
Another shell from Delta Squad.
Damage is severe. An emergency reboot would have been required. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. The wreckage ahead contains a shielded view pane. It should offer full protection while allowing us to identify the source of radiation.
The Estrella appears to be the source of radiation.
The main reactor. I estimate it will continue burning for several months. We should keep moving. That power cell is temporarily distracting the tick. Though, a direct hit to the cell from your pulsar would likely cause it to detonate. That sudden dispersion of energy was quite effective. I advise adding that technique to your tactical database, or the civilian equivalent thereof.
My memory archive will suffice.
The debris field ahead offers far less protection from radiation. Extra precaution will be needed to stay out of the light. Furthermore, I am detecting a significant biomass presence. I strongly advise frequent use of your threat scanner to plan an optimal route.
Acknowledged.
Shields at 95%.
Locating hostile equipment in the area designated biotorpedoes. Devices will seek presence. Proximity detonation is triggerable even by personnel. Recommend vessels maintain minimum safe distance of 100 kilometers. Personnel should evac immediately.
It would appear Delta Squad has become familiar with the operation of the torpedoes. Perhaps that is what caused their vessel to crash.
Given that they began investigating the torpedoes in close proximity, that result is highly probable.
An energy pulse from the anomaly.
Is it still stable?
I believe so, at least relatively. Nonetheless, we should remain focused on finding a torpedo if we hope to do so before the anomaly collapses.
Yet another Delta. It seems the battle here did not go well.
Agreed. The biomass was already incredibly dangerous in my time. As we know, this century will have it far worse.
Operational status report. Delta Squad operating at minimum capability. Activation pods are offline. Delta Actual and Delta 9. KIA. Delta 13. MIA. Delta 6. Active, but unable to perform reboot protocol. It shall operate forward and with authentication code. Gamma 7.
Apollo, should we respond?
Negative. Interference is still too great. Nonetheless, I will continue monitoring the situation.
An activation pod.
It is as Delta 6's transmission indicated. They are unable to reboot.
Another pulse.
Magnitude minimal. I believe we still have ample time before our forcible return to the future. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. There is a faint distress signal emitting from a cavern just ahead. Its frequency is similar to Delta 6's earlier transmission. We should investigate. Distress signal located.
It's a CubeSat, one of Delta Squad's recon units.
It appears to be in need of our support. Unclear how much energy has been depleted from the recon sat's power supply. We should assist before it reaches zero.
Delta Unit, I'm picking up your signal in proximity to Reconnaissance Satellite 3. Is that you, 13? Or was it Jack?
Jack, we have insufficient time for complications. We should keep our relation to this combat unit as simple as possible. I will conduct all communication with you privately, and I must insist we maintain the persona of Delta 13.
Very well, Apollo. Delta 6, this is Delta 13. I read you. Recon Sat 3 was engaged by multiple hostiles. I moved to assist.
I see. 13. Your return is peculiar, but appreciated. It appears Recon Sat 3 would not have survived its perimeter sweep without your aid. Though, what is your status? Is your pod operational?
Affirmative. All systems nominal. Rally at your position?
Acknowledged. Recon Sat 3 will lead the way. Destination, Kronos 2 Bridge. I will require your assistance in assessing the bio-torpedoes.
Acknowledged. We are en route. 13 out.
Well done, Jack. Your replication of tactical speech was convincing.
Thank you, but I prefer not to engage in deception.
Given your social function, that is understandable. However, as a tactical solution, deception can be highly effective. Considering the importance of our mission, I trust we will remain covert.
If we must.
Recon Sat 3, I can see your signal light from here. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles. Interference from the anomaly. Delta 13, status. Are you experiencing malfunctions again?
Negative. No malfunctions detected.
Acknowledged. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles in the area.
Understood.
Recon Sat 3 is detecting a nearby threat. Advise clearing the area before you proceed.
Threat resolved. Shields at 95%.
Additional threats detected. I recommend enacting the sweep and clear protocol.
All clear. We should keep moving. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%.
From what I can discern, I believe that is the Kronos 2's bridge.
That is my assessment as well. Delta 6 reported it as their location. We should proceed with meeting them there. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%.
It appears you've arrived here intact. Well done.
We need to locate the torpedoes as soon as possible.
Thank you, Delta 6. We should continue our mission immediately.
Agreed. Primary objective: threat assessment of the hostile devices. Secondary objective: establish a warning beacon for passing vessels.
You are unable to reboot, correct? Perhaps I should take the primary objective.
Agreed. A further encounter with the bio-torpedoes would likely result in operational failure on my part. However, I can still provide some assistance. By leveraging the Kronos 2 systems, I have already performed a sensor sweep. In doing so, I have identified a large number of active torpedoes in a nearby clearing. The results are available here on the holotape if you wish to review them.
Can you push the objective to my ARM computer?
Affirmative. I've also included the clearing's coordinates as the associated location marker, should you need it.
Acknowledged.
You may proceed through here to reach the clearing. I will begin efforts toward our secondary objective shortly. Report back here once you have completed your assignment.
Copy that.
Interference from the Estrela's radiation will continue beyond the arrival of the Ithaca. It is unlikely Delta 6's secondary objective will be accomplished.
We are fortunate to have their assistance, though. Locating torpedoes has saved us considerable time.
Agreed. The alignment of our objectives is fortunate indeed.
Delta 6, you reactivated Kronos 2's sensors to obtain these readings.
Correct. As you know, the R&D priority protocol indicates we must collect detailed information firsthand. These readings are merely a foundation for your assessment.
Of course. Delta 6, what happened while I was MIA?
You wish to understand what occurred after the anomaly's departing pulse rendered you offline?
Affirmative.
Very well. Shortly after that moment, one of the nearby torpedoes activated. Athena attempted evasive maneuvers, but the device's tracking was superior. A further torpedo activation resulted in a nearly simultaneous squad wipe. We then rebooted aboard the shuttle as it crashed. Athena went offline. Delta Actual ordered we continue our threat assessment while working to re-establish our reboot protocols. We failed. Eventually, the anomaly reappeared. A brief duration after that, you returned. That coincidence is peculiar.